Right now on 10 News this evening, preparing for the president.
What you need to know about the president's trip to Tampa Bay tomorrow.
And a new push to get to the bottom of SunPass problems exposed by 10 Investigates. "24 hours from now, Air Force One will be preparing to land in Tampa. Also, 24 hours from now, the crowd will be growing at the Florida State Fairgrounds where President Trump is holding a campaign rally. The president is here for his own re-election bid and to throw his support behind several candidates in several big Florida races.
Now, the president is expected to land at Tampa International Airport at 5:20 on Tuesday. Then he's heading to the Tampa Bay Technical High School for a private tour there. Now, the president will also take part in a roundtable discussion, but it's not clear who else will be a part of that conversation. As for his rally at Expo Hall 4 at the Florida State Fairgrounds, that opens at 4 p.m. The event is then scheduled to start at 7 o'clock. Well, today, President Trump announced that he would have, quote, no problem shutting down the federal government in the next few months if Congress can agree on more money for the security border. Now, lawmakers have to pass a budget by September 30th. That means a shutdown would happen about a month before the midterm elections. Now, the president is requesting $25 billion for his proposed border wall.
As far as the border is concerned, and personally, if we don't get border security, after many, many years of talk within the United States, I would have no problem doing a shutdown.
President Trump also announced today that he's willing to meet with the top leaders of Iran to come up with a new nuclear deal. Now, President Trump is expected to voice his support for Rick Scott in the race for Senate, Matt Gaetz for the House of Representatives, and Ron DeSantis in the race for Florida's governor.
But DeSantis is still fighting for his party's nomination against Adam Putnam in the Florida primary. The deadline to register to vote in that primary is today. We have a link to register at WTSP.com/eye-on-politics. You can also change your address there or your party affiliation. Remember, you need to be registered as a Democrat or a Republican to vote in the major races for the primary. Our Eye on Politics page also has a list of important election dates for the rest of the year. You can also find one-on-one interviews with the candidates for governor. A controversial topic heading into the primary election, the SunPass scandal now in day 60. 10 Investigates' Noah Pransky has been leading the way in exposing why our bills are messed up and why the state is covering it up. And tonight he joins us now with the latest on this, including calls for a federal investigation.
Carolina, Senator Bill Nelson says that if the state isn't going to crack down on the company responsible for all of our 60-plus days of SunPass problems, he'll ask the Federal Trade Commission to do it. Yes, this was out on the campaign trail today. But if you've looked at your SunPass account lately, you know this is a problem affecting Floridians from all political persuasions. 10 Investigates has been exposing what the state doesn't want you to know for 2 months now. That more than 150 million tolls are sitting in a backlog waiting to hit our accounts. Though while the state stopped payments to the contractor for this specific job, they haven't issued any fines and they continue to pay them on other FDOT deals. And that politically connected firm behind the SunPass screw-ups has gotten the job despite similar problems in 6 other states. That's why Senator Nelson wants the company investigated nationally for deceptive trade practices.
If the state of Florida is not going to protect the consumer, then I'm going to try to. As a matter of fact, I want to thank Channel 10 because you all have been Johnny on the spot to get this out into the public domain.
Nelson says the FTC could order all those backlogged tolls waived. Governor Scott's campaign, meanwhile, issued a quick response today, promising accountability here and criticizing Nelson for campaigning instead of worrying about a looming deadline for the National Flood Insurance Program. You can see all of our SunPass reports and get the very latest on what that 152 million toll backlog means for you by checking out our special section, WTSP.com/SunPass. Noah Pransky, 10 Investigates.
Major construction project on Interstate 275 will affect traffic in Manatee County for months to come. Now, this morning, the Florida Department of Transportation began replacing the concrete bridge deck on the southbound I-275 ramp to northbound Interstate 75. Southbound I-275 will be detoured at the US 41 exit for a 10-month period during that work. Now, if you're headed south on I-275 and you see these construction cones, you have passed the detour. 10 News reporter Shannon Leid drove the detour route to show how to get around and how long it's going to add to your commute.
It makes travel a lot harder. You have to figure out when you have to get so far away to work. It just makes it harder.
Joe Reischer uses this I-75 ramp in Manatee County every day. It takes him 40 minutes to get to work from his house. Now, with this closure, it will take him even longer.
They haven't given us any clues to what's going on. There's just a sign saying it's going to be closed, and that's very inconvenient for people that have to use it every day and try to find a new way around.
The project making it harder for drivers traveling from Pinellas County and Palmetto to get on I-75 northbound. FDOT officials say the bridge deck over US 41 needed to be replaced because it was unsafe. The goal was not to clog up any local roads and keep traffic near state roads.
It's going to be a little bit of an inconvenience, but hopefully it's not going to take us too far out of our way.
Many people we ran into asked us the same question. How much time is this detour going to add to their commute? Well, we're about to find out.
I drove the detour north on US 41 and State Road 674 and East College Avenue going into Hillsborough County. Total time was 18 minutes.
Okay, so without this delay, it would take drivers anywhere between 10 to 13 minutes to drive straight through on I-75. Now you're looking at a 5 to 8 minute delay, but let's not forget that it could be even longer during rush hour. So give yourself plenty of time for your morning and evening commutes. Shannon Leid, 10 News.
Now, for drivers wanting to stay in Manatee County, take US 41 northbound, then turn right onto Moccasin Wallow Road. There are also going to be overnight closures on northbound I-75, where you get on the northbound I-275 through August. Now, we made it easy to keep up with the best routes for all the detours in our story right there on the webpage at WTSP.com.
One NRA lobbyist is getting involved in the debate over Florida's Stand Your Ground law. According to Politico, the lobbyist who helped shape the law back in 2005 is disputing Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Galtieri's claims about Stand Your Ground. Galtieri cited the law in his decision not to charge Michael Draka with the shooting death of Marquise McLaughlin. It happened after an argument over a parking spot for people with disabilities. The shooting has been getting national attention. The Stand Your Ground law says that a person can use deadly force to stop an attack if that person fears for his or her life. Galtieri said the sheriff's office could be liable for arresting Draka because of changes to the law made last year, which shifted the burden of proof. But Marion Hammer, Tallahassee's NRA lobbyist, told Politico, quote, "Nothing in either the 2005 law or the 2017 law prohibits a sheriff from making an arrest in a case where a person claims self-defense if there is probable cause that the use of force was unlawful." The decision about whether the law applies has been handed over to the state attorney's office.
Family and friends of Marquise McLaughlin have been asking supporters to call on the state attorney's office to press charges against Draka. McLaughlin was laid to rest on Saturday. His loved ones gathered at Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church in Largo to share their memories of him. McLaughlin leaves behind 3 children. Yesterday, a vigil for McLaughlin turned into a protest that shut down a busy intersection in St. Pete. It began at the Allendale United Methodist Church. Later in the day, Democratic gubernatorial candidate Andrew Gillum held a town hall meeting in Clearwater to talk about Florida's Stand Your Ground law. And last week, McLaughlin's family was joined by well-known civil rights lawyer Benjamin Crump. Now, one of the country's most well-known civil rights activists is getting involved in Florida's Stand Your Ground controversy. Al Sharpton will be in the Bay Area next week. He's holding a rally at a Clearwater church on Saturday, and Sharpton has held rallies in Florida after another controversial case, the death of Trayvon Martin back in 2012. And Carolina, Stand Your Ground has become a major issue all across the country.
And even though it came up in this case, George Zimmerman never used it as
Right.
a part of his case. He was acquitted of shooting and killing Trayvon Martin, who was unarmed and walking home in his Florida neighborhood. A new documentary series called Rest in Power, the Trayvon Martin story, tracks the long-lasting consequences of that night. Trayvon's father and the filmmaker spoke to CBS this morning about reliving the tragedy to talk about its consequences.
Trayvon Martin's story ignited change in America, but also led to a backlash that we're currently experiencing in our politics. And we wanted to use the case to explore that backlash and understand how it's affecting our daily life now. I think you look at all the headlines and so much has changed, but so much is the same.
The documentary also connects Trayvon Martin's death to the Black Lives Matter movement and opposition against it. The series begins tonight on the Paramount Network and BET.
Well, the CBS Board of Directors is not taking any action against their chairman and CEO, at least for now. The company says that it's going to hire outside counsel to investigate claims from 6 women who say that Les Moonves sexually harassed them. Some of the claim dates go all the way back to 1985. The allegations were first reported Friday in the New Yorker. Moonves denies or says he doesn't remember many of the details in the report. But he did say, quote, "There were times decades ago when I may have made some women uncomfortable by making advances. Those were mistakes, and I regret them immensely," end of quote. A massive and deadly wildfire continues to terrorize the city of Redding in Northern California. The fire has burned almost 150 square miles and is only 17% contained. Almost 40,000 people have been forced to leave their homes. 6 people have died because of the fire, including 3 members of the same family. Ed Bledsoe says he had no idea his home was in danger when he left his wife Melody with their 2 great-grandchildren.
My little grandson on the phone, he's saying, "Grandpa, please, you got to come and help us. The fire's at the back door." I said, "I'm right by you, honey. Just hold on. Grandpa's coming."
He says the road was blocked with cars and the flames stopped him from returning on foot.
There are new signs enforcing an old policy at Publix grocery stores. Publix is cracking down on its pet policy, and this applies to everyone who has a service animal. New signs have been posted in stores saying that only service animals trained to help customers with disabilities will be allowed inside, and those animals will not be allowed to ride in shopping carts. Publix says this has always been the rule for food safety reasons, but have decided to actively enforce it. And Alex, we posted this on Facebook, and a lot of people had a lot to say about it, especially in light of all of the service animals that people are trying to get onto planes.
Yeah, Catalina, there was very little debate about this on our Facebook page. It seems like most of you were siding with Publix about this policy, even thrilled. Linda said, "Sorry, no animals should be in a food store to begin with, but I understand service dogs, i.e. C and I dogs, but not comfort animals." Christy loves dogs, but is allergic to most of them. She added, "It's not safe for those of us with dog allergies to walk in behind someone who had a dog in the cart that we are using. Suddenly your throat starts scratching and closing up. Can't breathe even." Another Linda thinks the service animal situation has gotten totally out of hand. Service animals are allowed, but not in the cart. To Linda, it's a safety issue, as it is with children riding in the cart. And for Rodney, it's about time. He says, "I have 4 dogs and 4 cats, and I would never take them into a grocery store." Well, there's still plenty of time to join the conversation on our Facebook page. Just go to Facebook and search WTSP 10 News.
4 dogs, 4 cats.
Yeah, I love Publix too.
Yeah.
But at least they don't have to deal with peacocks. You know, like on the flight.
It sounds funny, but it's true.
Yeah,
You're right.
we saw that lady walking through
That's
an
right.
airport with a peacock. kind of comfort you getting from?
That's a big cleanup on aisle 5 right
Big
there.
time.
Because I've seen
Big time.
peacocks before.
A lot of rain out there, man.
Yeah, you know, we had a soggy day out there today. We're actually starting to see the showers and thunderstorms thin out a little bit now, except for right there, Hardy, DeSoto, Highlands County, parts of Manatee as well too. But it's kind of been soggy. Now, if you're in northern Hillsborough County, we saw a little bit of rain, western Pasco, a little bit of rain, especially this morning. But there's been some spots with all that green on the map that have not seen rain today. And we'll still have a chance tonight, but I think most of it's going to be showers. Light rain moving across the bay over South Tampa. That's crossing the 275 junction right up into Carrollwood, eventually into Oldsmar as well too. Central Pinellas we have, this is all light rain in St. Pete as well. This will move up towards the lake. It'll be up there in McMullen Booth Road as well. And you can see the heaviest thunderstorm activity is here in Sarasota and Manatee County. Moving through Lakewood Ranch right now. That'll last a good 25, 45 minutes. It's a slow-moving system. It's actually building a little bit further to the south. I tracked the leading edge of this one towards Wauchula, which would get it there about 545, 555, but most of it is down here between there in Arcadia. But I do think at least some rain will move up. That's what we're seeing in parts of Hernando, even Pasco. You can see pretty decent rain there. One thunderstorm that's going to move off to the north now, right up US 19 if you're headed in through Hernando County. And then Polk County, we've got a little bit of rain. Same thing with Highlands. Nothing major out there now. We're just going to keep an eye on that thunderstorm. I just don't think it's going to be that strong if it even survives to get into southern Polk County. Big picture shows a lot of moisture today. All that heat, that humidity. We've got a little bit of lift in the atmosphere up above us as well too, so that's giving us slightly better chance for rain. Right now in St. Pete, 77 degrees. That's the good thing. With all the cloud cover, plus the rain, of course the rain's going to cool you down, but even with all the cloud cover, look at these numbers. Most areas upper 70s to low 80s, so we'll take the cool down. 82 in Tarpon Springs, 83 in Holiday, 79 in Brandon, 73 in Ruskin. Those numbers, if you're in the low to mid 70s, those will be the low temperatures, because as we get into early tomorrow morning, we're going to be in the mid 70s for just about everybody, near 80 at the coast. Now there will be some showers around tonight, although they tend to weaken and fall apart. Then tomorrow morning, I think we start dry. That's 6:45, 7 o'clock in the morning. You might want to start getting the kids up a little bit early, trying to train them to getting up ready for school here. That's 1:30. Showers and storms along the coast. This is what we had today. In fact, I think they start closer to noon. And then eventually they'll try and work their way inland. Southerly flow is turning southeasterly the next couple of days, and so we're going to start dry in the mornings, see the showers and storms along the coast midday, and then start to work their way inland. So pretty typical pattern. It's going to be with us all week long. It's going to make it a little bit easier to plan your forecast, but 50 to 60% rain chance just about all the way through this week. Now boating, we've got southerly winds, about 10 knots, so light chop on the bay. Scattered thunderstorms, though, each day, especially the morning hours, up through about 2, 3 o'clock. It's going to be pretty soggy out there. Good news is the tropics are actually staying real quiet, but I've been showing you this map. The water is warming up a little bit than what we've been seeing. Still, nothing developing out there for the next 5 days. We'll take that. There's your 7-day forecast. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all about a 50 to 60% rain chance. Actually, we'll cut back on the rain chance just a little bit for the upcoming weekend.
Well, the city of Bradenton is negotiating a new contract for emergency debris removal in case another storm hits the area. But their top choice is a local company that was investigated for wrongdoing following Hurricane Irma. Sarasota-based Ceres Environmental Services was one of 3 companies that Attorney General Pam Bondi investigated last year for delaying work or requesting higher rates. Now, the company dismissed those allegations. While some residents are concerned about this contract, the Public Works Director in Bradenton says there is nothing to worry about.
I believe we've done our due diligence to set the contract up in an appropriate manner to provide that level of protection.
That contract includes 11 categories where crews would be held responsible to pay damages upon failure to comply, including a $5,000 penalty every day they don't show up within 72 hours of a work order. Now, after Irma, it took the city of Bradenton more than 2 months to remove over 88,000 cubic yards of debris, costing $1.97 million. Now they're negotiating with 2 different contractors, including Ceres, and writing their own custom contracts for the first time in years.
Some sharks are big and scary, but we are verifying claims about a much smaller animal that should scare you more than sharks. the 30th annual TV event Shark
Can you
Week.
believe 30?
No, I just said it to you. I thought it was like 10.
Oh my
Where have I been? Okay, so it wrapped up over the weekend. A whole week dedicated to the predator of the seas.
Well, we all know sharks are no joke, but there was an interesting claim that happened on social media that we brought to our verified team. Now, the post says it's not just sharks that you should be worried about, but something much smaller that's probably buzzing around in your house or in the yard. Here's Jason Puckett.
Yeah, big sharks are terrifying. But in the midst of Shark Week, we were sent this tweet and we had to look into it.
A world under siege. It's in our yards. It's in our streams. It's threatening future generations.
That video makes the same claim as this tweet, one heard most clearly in this video by Bill Gates.
The mosquito kills more humans than any other animal on the planet.
That's right. Bill Gates, the American Mosquito Control Association, and others claim the mosquito is the deadliest animal on Earth, posting images that they kill 725,000 people annually, 15 times more than snakes, 30 times more than dogs, and more than 70,000 times more than sharks. Should we be having Mosquito Week instead? Well, let's find out. We're verifying the claim that the mosquito is the world's deadliest animal. First off, the infographic from Bill Gates' site does say all calculations have wide error margins, so we'll give them leeway if they're close. Here's a list of our sources. We ran the numbers, and while some of them date back as early as 2014, they are accurate. See, mosquitoes don't maul, poison, or drown people, they carry diseases. The World Health Organization estimates 725,000 deaths a year come from mosquitoes carrying malaria, dengue fever, yellow fever, or West Nile. So while big animals like sharks may win the award for deadliest looking, they only kill about 5 to 10 people a year. It's the tiny, annoying mosquitoes that actually cause the most deaths. Claim verified. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett. Back to you.
New research unveils hidden dangers of another disease carried by mosquitoes.
This is my house since I was born.
What's it like to see it now?
Rough.
I was only going about 15 minutes when my wife called me and said, "You got to get here. The fire's coming up the hill."
Those are just some of the devastating stories coming out of Northern California, where the Carr fire has been burning for a week now. Firefighters say they are finally making progress against the fire near Redding.
Now, it has already killed 6 people and forced almost 40,000 people from their homes. Chris Martinez is talking with firefighters and homeowners there.
It's another day of triple-digit temperatures for crews battling a deadly wildfire in Northern California. The massive Carr fire is still growing, but Battalion Chief Jonathan Cox told CBS this morning the threat to the city of Redding has diminished.
We're cautiously optimistic that the progression into the city of Redding, the very highly populated area, has slowed and, if not, stopped.
The fire has been raging for more than a week now, devouring an area the size of Denver. Hundreds of homes are destroyed, and in some cases, entire neighborhoods. In the mountain town of Keswick, there's nothing but ash and rubble where homes once stood. Several evacuation orders were lifted today near Redding.
I was only going about 15 minutes.
But some residents say they were never told to leave. Ed Bledsoe's wife and 2 great-grandchildren died in the flames.
We had no idea. Nobody told us nothing. If I'd had any kind of warning, I'd have never, ever left my family in that house. I'd have made them go with me.
Shasta County authorities say people living in Redding were told to evacuate. They're investigating to see if the Bledsoe home got a warning call or a door knock. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Sacramento, California.
And take a look at this new video from inside the fire lines. It shows just how quickly flames are devouring the trees and brush there. It looks like firefighters are surrounded here, but the team is actually okay, and no one was hurt. Jeff Glore will anchor tonight's CBS Evening News from Northern California. That's coming up at 6:30, right after 10 News this evening.
In the middle of hints about a government shutdown, President Trump is heading to Tampa tomorrow afternoon. He is landing at Tampa International Airport around 5:20, then making a stop at Tampa Bay Technical High School. Then he is holding a campaign rally at the Florida State Fairgrounds. That begins at 7 o'clock, but the doors open at 4. And Reg, it is no surprise that his first stop here in Tampa is at a technical school.
Big reason why. Putting people to work is the cornerstone of every GOP platform. Now, vocational schools are their poster children. The news reporter Liz Crawford took a closer look at Republicans and their support for technical schools.
All right, so let's look at these 4 GOP politicians. Republican governor candidates Ron DeSantis and Adam Putnam, Senate candidate Rick Scott, and of course, President Donald Trump. Now, DeSantis has long been a supporter of changing the higher education model. In a 2015 op-ed, DeSantis wrote, "We need to open up an alternative market for education that gives students access to federal loan money to put towards non-traditional educational opportunities, such as online learning, vocational schools, and apprenticeships in skilled trades." In 2017, he introduced the HERO Act, meant to reform the higher education system. But perhaps no one loves a tech school more than Adam Putnam. Here's one of his ads.
We need to get back to honoring and respecting experts of a trade. I'll make vocational training a top priority. Our kids should be career ready, not debt ridden. College is not the only path to success, and it's okay to say it.
Then there's current Florida governor and Senate hopeful Rick Scott. Scott is supposed to visit Tampa Bay Tech with the president Tuesday. His entire political identity is based around jobs. So a vocational school fits the agenda. President Trump, he loves jobs too. When speaking at a forum for young people earlier this year, the president repeated his call for a greater emphasis on trade schools. Remember, the reason Trump is coming to Tampa is to show his support for governor candidate Ron DeSantis. In June, Trump tweeted this: "Congressman Ron DeSantis, a top student at Yale and Harvard Law School, is running for governor of the great state of Florida. He will be a great governor and has my full endorsement." Look, they love tech schools. The irony is they didn't go there, and they like the Ivy League too. Liz Crawford, 10 News.
Air Force One is landing at 5:20, putting the president right in the middle of rush hour. But 10 traffic has you covered if you or someone you know will be out on the road at that time.
Hello, everybody. I'm Laura Byrne in for Hillary Zala for 10 News Traffic. We want to talk about what traffic is going to look like during President Trump's visit to Tampa. Now, from what we understand, he's going to be flying into Tampa International Airport sometime in the afternoon and then head over to Tampa Bay Tech for a private roundtable discussion at 5 p.m. here at the high school. So how he's going to get here, what that route's going to be, we don't know. The Secret Service is not sharing that information with us. But one possible route would be to take 275 to I-4. But no matter what, you're going to want to anticipate some extra traffic on I-4 that we typically would not see because the doors open for the rally at the fairgrounds at 4 p.m. And of course, this is right around rush hour. So we know that that roundtable discussion is at 5, and then President Trump will move on to the Florida State Fairgrounds for the rally, which begins at 7 p.m. So I think no matter what, if you're going to be driving anywhere here in the heart of Tampa, especially along 275 and I-4 and then Orient Road, all the area around the fairgrounds, just plan for extra time to be on the safe side.
And you can watch all of our coverage of President Trump's visit right here on 10 News this evening. You can also find it on our free 10 News app, and we'll send you alerts throughout the day.
There are some promising results coming out of a new research lab in South Texas that's helping scientists better understand the Zika virus. However, these same findings are also showing concerning signs that the virus can be more dangerous than previously thought. Reporter Oscar Margain explains.
This is the side of the lab where we do all of our mosquito work.
Dr. John Thomas and a team of researchers at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley have been investigating new ways to fight the Zika virus by first understanding it through possums.
This is what they look like. They don't actually look like the possums that you see on the road at 2 in the morning.
Brazilian possums are similar to lab rats, but with an immune system that resembles humans. Zika became widely known in a 2015 outbreak in Brazil and caused alarm after infected pregnant women were giving birth to babies with microcephaly, a brain abnormality.
This one's been infected with Zika. This one hasn't. This animal's very, very small. So Zika virus is having some kind of an effect on not only the animal's ability of its brain to grow, but of the entire body.
The research has revealed that Zika could cause other negative effects years down the road, even if those infected never showed symptoms early on.
It seems like the effects of Zika are
much more alarming than originally thought.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, it does seem like it's going that way. This is one of the environmental chambers that we use to house our laboratory mosquito colonies.
The findings have been made possible in part because of a $10 million grant by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued to 3 key universities in Texas.
Oh, there's a mosquito.
UTRGV's location near the border is key. The hot climate and its proximity to Mexico, where the virus is more prevalent, makes it an important place for research.
I mean, it freaks my parents out, but as far as me, it's just fun.
26-year-old Heather Hernandez realizes the importance of their work in the lab, as Zika and other dangerous mosquito-borne viruses can spread quickly if left unchecked.
Try not to think that far ahead.
Okay.
Just because I know that I like what I'm doing, and if it does help people in the future, that's great.
Dr. Thomas hopes these advancements can get them accredited with the Texas Department of Health as a regional testing center. In Edinburgh, near the Texas-Mexico border, I'm Oscar Margain reporting.
Announcements from the Attorney General don't always make like a big splash on social media, but trending tonight is the new Religious Liberty Task Force. What is it?
Well, it's going to help push the Trump administration's executive order last year that directed agencies to protect religious liberty and political speech. It also will support employers making hiring decisions based on their faith, and those objecting to providing health insurance for birth control. Sessions said the task force will ensure religious freedoms will be front and center at the Justice Department, upheld in the cases they bring and defend, the arguments they make in court, the policies and regulations they adopt, and how they conduct their operations. But Human Rights Campaign Legal Director Sarah Warbello says this is a taxpayer-funded license to discriminate against LGBTQ people in the public square. Now, you probably also saw this story trending as well. The cast of Guardians of the Galaxy is sticking by their director after Disney fired him for recently resurfaced offensive tweets, many of them about pedophilia. Director James Gunn was set to direct Volume 3 of the hit franchise. Now, star Chris Pratt posted this open letter on Instagram signed by the whole cast in support of Gunn. He wrote he would personally love to see him reinstated as director, adding, "Although I don't support James Gunn's inappropriate jokes from years ago, he is a good man." Gunn apologized on Twitter. Now, Pratt also referenced a Change.org petition asking Gunn to be brought back. So far, it has more than 340,000 signatures.
And I'm with meteorologist Bobby Deskins. Tomorrow is going to be a busy afternoon. The president will be here in the middle of rush hour.
Right.
What's the weather going to be like?
Well, kind of like what you're seeing out there right now, which means if you're out and about in that area tomorrow afternoon this time, there's going to be some rain around. So not everybody's seeing rain.
Avoid it
but
if you can.
As
Yeah,
much
it's
as
hard
you
to,
can.
right?
Yeah, I mean, as much as you can,
Gotta
right?
commute.
The good news is that a lot of it will start early like it did today. So what's left over right now in the Bay Area is basically light rain, which is okay. It's not as heavy of a downpour, that type of thing. But there still will be some storms around. We've got some pretty good ones now to the south and east of Tampa. Light rain pushing all the way up Pinellas through central Pinellas. It's now getting in north of the Courtney Campbell, really going up US 19. It hasn't gotten, well, this batch hasn't gotten to Tarpon Springs. One just kind of fell apart up there, but I do think you're going to get more rain in the northern part of the county. More rain offshore, but look what's happening here. I mean, we got some really good thunderstorms, mainly east of I-75 in the Sarasota area. We've had some pretty good rain right over Lakewood Ranch. That was actually a pretty good thunderstorm. That has now weakened, and it's just light rain that's going to be moving up through Bradenton, Longboat Key right now, and Anna Maria Island. These storms are very slowly making their way northward towards Wauchula, but they're actually building to the south as well, too. So Arcadia up to Wauchula and just about down to Northport. If you're watching from there, you're hearing a lot of the thunder, but most of it will stay to your north. Now, light rain for Pasco. Hernando's got a little bit of a thunderstorm here. It just came out of the Spring Hill, Weeki Wachee area and is now going to drift northward into Citrus County. Not a lot in Polk County. We will see some light rain, I think, especially obviously we're seeing it in the southeast now. But I think some of this will bring some light rain here within the next hour or two. And most of this activity will fall apart between now and let's say about 9:30, 10 o'clock once the sun goes down. So we did see some pretty heavy rainfall totals. Parts of Citrus and Hernando County over 2 inches of rainfall. That storm system that's affecting areas there west of Lake Placid, just north of or south of Wauchula, over 3 inches of rain, and it has been a slow mover. A lot of moisture to deal with, but a lot of this is driven by the heating of the day, so it'll fall apart and continue to do so through the evening hours. That's the shot of the airport. Tomorrow, the president's plane will be sitting right about right there, so we'll be watching that for you tomorrow evening. 81 degrees, that's the great news. I mean, with all these clouds and showers, we've got numbers in the 70s and low 80s right now. The air temps will actually come up for some as we get going into later this evening. I mean, it's 80 in Brandon, 82 in Odessa, but Ruskin is at 73 right now. So that number will come up to about 76, 77 degrees before we get into early tomorrow morning. I do have a 40% rain chance tonight. Most of it's rain. Can't rule out a thunderstorm, but it's light rain. That falls apart after about 10 o'clock or so. Tomorrow we're going to go a 50% chance for showers and thunderstorms. I think tomorrow looks a lot like today. Allergy forecast. Low range next couple of days, starts to come back up a little bit Thursday and Friday, adding sagebrush in the mix there along with ragweed and grass. A lot of moisture. Look, it's coming back, guys. Remember any of the video or you talked to friends and family up north last week? They had a lot of rain and some flooding. Well, this is round 2. This is today and tomorrow. That is Wednesday and Thursday as well, although I do think that the heaviest rainfall will be down here across parts of the deep south, but they're still pretty wet up there, and that rain's going to fall on saturated ground, so they're going to have to watch that in the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. For us, it's a good 50 to 60% chance for rain. Very similar pattern what we've seen the last couple days with a little bit more of a southeasterly wind. I do drop the rain chances just a little bit for your weekend, both Saturday and Sunday.
Tom Steffen poured his heart into this pair of shoes, the color of Princess Elsa from the movie Frozen. When his daughter saw them, she asked why they weren't very pretty.
Now, the fight to cover Laura's feet has been an exhausting one for one Bay Area father. 10 News reporter Bobby Lewis out on the road in Palm Harbor where help is coming thanks to the generosity of strangers.
You like the swings? Laura Steffen is an active 6-year-old who won't let anything slow her down.
My parents would tell you as a kid, I'd hide my shoes.
Exactly why her daddy is hard at work.
Moccasins, we were told, were one of the most simple pieces of footwear that you could do.
Tom Steffen would do anything for his little girl.
So this was my attempt at her request to make them pretty.
Or at least try.
Her bearded daddy sewed some pretty sequins on there, and it wasn't terribly impressive to anybody.
The shoes aren't. But the dedication to his daughter is. A girl whose feet are a little different.
And I got one that goes long, straight up.
2 toes on each foot.
One that goes like
2 fingers on each hand. Too blessed to notice.
He made shoes for a long time.
$1,200 specialty shoes are out of his budget.
I'd like to think that there's some improvement.
There's a shoe school in Washington State each summer where he'd learn to make shoes. But getting there is out of his budget, too.
As a sympathetic crier, I'm usually pretty emotional when it comes to stories like this.
The problem reached the ears of Nikhil Patel, a family friend who asked his fraternity brothers to find it in their souls to help Tom create new souls.
I wanted to take an opportunity to, kind of make a change and just kind of give back any way we possibly could.
The GoFundMe page he started raised $4,000 in 3 days.
Oh, I was in tears.
Exactly enough to get Tom to shoe school.
It shows an incredible amount of dedication and passion for your children, and that's just something that I really want to bring about in myself when I grow up too.
Hey, there she is.
The lessons he'll learn means Laura will finally get some special shoes.
And these are tears of joy. May not sound like it.
Made by a man who is pretty special himself.
But I like his shoes.
You like his shoes?
Mm-hmm.
On the road in Palm Harbor, I'm Bobby Lewis, 10 News.
She's cute as a button, isn't she?
She's amazing.
And Daddy is doing everything he can. Now, Tom had no idea that the GoFundMe page was set up to send him to shoe school, and as you could see, he has been overwhelmed by the support.
And we are tracking Tom's success. The Bay Area father returns to show off his new shoemaking skills next. We introduced you to Tom Steffen back in May, a dad learning to make shoes for his daughter's abnormally shaped feet.
Now, since our story aired, Tom has received help from around the world, including shoe molds from Serbia and Portugal. Family and friends also raised enough money to send Tom to shoe school. TED News reporter Bobby Lewis back out on the road in Palm Harbor, where a father can now make special shoes for his special daughter.
An hour here, an hour there.
There hasn't been much time for fishing this summer.
In between, parenting activities.
Tom Steffen has been too busy.
There's still flaws. You look at the stitches on both sides, and there's flaws. But I've never used a sewing machine before.
Months ago, Tom started tinkering with leather.
Learning as I go.
Dreaming of making shoes for Laura's feet.
It wasn't terribly impressive to anybody.
Feet that looked a little different.
At one point, the instructor said, this course is like drinking from a fire hose. You're going to get full, but you're going to miss a lot.
The answer to his daughter's foot problem was expensive shoe school.
That's some stretch in the back a little bit.
Yeah.
Friends chipped in and donated enough money to send him all the way to Washington.
So much of the process has been refined.
5 days of instruction, 5 days of prayer.
I feel a lot more pride in it.
5 days of wondering if the lessons would take, followed by one thank you dance to prove they did.
Do you like them?
Yes.
Absolutely. It has become a lot more enjoyable. It's rewarding now. It's less frustrating.
Daddy's shoes right here, he made eyes at it. It looked like a professional.
It looked like a professional shoe?
It looked like it would be at the store.
The compliments are valuable. The experience, even more so, for a dad whose shoemaking mission is complete, at least until the next pair.
Purple, is that your favorite color?
It's one of my favorite colors. And I really like the laces because they're all shiny and glittery. And glitter is one of my favorite colors.
Glitter is one of your favorite colors? Mine too. Mine too. On the road in Palm Harbor, I'm Bobby Lewis, 10 News.
Glitter is one of your favorite colors.
How is that funny?
Oh, calling you out.
Glitter's one of my favorite colors too. I get it. She's so proud of those shoes.
Yes, she is. Now, Tom is hoping that to master the shoemaking skills so he can start making shoes for other kids with abnormally shaped feet.
Laura is excited to finally have reliable shoes just in time to go back to school in just a few weeks. TED News is keeping an eye on politics, including the local candidates about to get in-person endorsements from President Trump.
The president will be in Tampa tomorrow, his first public visit to the Bay Area since the 2016 presidential campaign.
And just like that campaign stop, he's wrapping up the trip with a rally at the Florida State Fairgrounds. A lot has happened since that last visit.
President Trump is already campaigning for 2020, and he's expected to throw his support behind candidates running in the 2018 election, now just a few months away.
Those candidates are Governor Rick Scott, running for Senate against longtime Democratic Senator Bill Nelson. He's expected to meet with Trump during a stop at Tampa Bay Technical High School before tomorrow's rally.
Representative Matt Gaetz is running for re-election. He represents Florida's 1st District in the Panhandle. Gaetz last year introduced a congressional resolution calling for special counsel Robert Mueller to recuse himself from the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election.
And a third candidate has already gotten support from President Trump on Twitter, Representative Ron DeSantis. He's running for the Republican nomination for governor against Agriculture Secretary Adam Putnam. We are less than a month away from Florida's primary, and the deadline to vote is today by midnight. Remember, here in Florida, it's a closed primary, so you need to be a registered Republican or Democrat to vote in the major races. The deadline to register to vote for the general midterm election is October 9th. We have a link to register at WTSP.com/eye on politics. You can also find an election guide with important dates and interviews with the candidates for governor. And we'll keep you updated on Trump's visit, the president's visit here to the Bay Area, with alerts from the 10 News app. If you check it out right now, you can check out what to expect on the roads and a schedule of events. Just search 10 News WTSP in your app store.
Well, this school year, your children will see at least one armed officer on campus. It's part of a new school safety bill signed into law after the Parkland shooting in February. Well, today, a graduation ceremony was held for the guards who will be protecting elementary schools in Pasco County. Guards began training with the deputies from the sheriff's office on June 4th. They went over safety procedures, the use of deadly force, and defense tactics, as well as 2 weeks of training at the shooting range in preparation for responding to an active threat. All of this meant is to help protect your children in the classroom when they head back to school.
This program cuts near and dear to me as a football coach. It was a bad thing that Aaron Fikes got killed in the commission of his duties as a school security officer. But I'm also a former law enforcement. So to me, to be able to help the kids and to help the staff and just provide safety for these young kids, because there's so many times now in life that people are doing things and the kids are the victims of it.
Pasco students go back to school on August the 13th. That's just 2 weeks from today. The Sarasota School District has asked the Sarasota Sheriff's Office to investigate the alleged misconduct of a Palmetto school principal. The school district says the principal gave a positive recommendation of a teacher who Sarasota hired while he was under investigation for inappropriate behavior with students. In April, Quentin Peterson, a math teacher at Booker High School, was arrested for child pornography. Now, the investigation started months earlier while Peterson was a music teacher at Lincoln Memorial Academy in Palmetto. Yet Lincoln's principal, Eddie Hundley, gave Peterson a positive job recommendation to Sarasota. Now, the sheriff's office has assigned a detective to the case. The school district filed an educator misconduct complaint against Hundley with the Florida Department of Education in April for not disclosing that open investigation.
This is why car owners who have the push button starts instead of the ignition keys need to be extra careful and make sure the car turns off when you get out. A woman who lives at the Courtney at Bay Pines Apartments in Seminole accidentally left her car running overnight in a closed garage. 4 people had to go to the hospital for potential carbon monoxide poisoning. Firefighters also had to go around venting dozens of the apartments in that building. By the time they found out which car was the culprit, the Lexus had run out of gas. Safety advocates have been calling for changes to prevent these types of incidents. A New York Times investigation earlier this year revealed there have been more than 2 dozen deaths after drivers inadvertently left their cars running in the garage. Some newer cars will turn off if they've idled for too long. But if you don't have any alert features on your car, AAA suggests leaving yourself a simple note, either inside your car or right outside the door at your house, to remind you to double check that the engine was, with a push button start, gets shut off each and every time you are not inside.
Well, family and friends are mourning the loss of a college student from Fort Myers. 19-year-old Tanaya Jones had been missing all weekend. Her story made international headlines. Now, this morning, her family learned that her body had been found off of a beach near Tel Aviv. She was caught up in a rip current and drowned there. The University of Kentucky sophomore was on a 7-week exchange program in Jordan. Her friends decided to take a weekend trip to Israel before returning home to the U.S. Her family found it odd that Tanaya even wanted to go to the beach because she wasn't a swimmer.
She never used Sanibel Beach or Fort Myers Beach or Bonita Beach.
They went out for a swim and there was a strong current, and that unfortunately Tanaya was out of the 3. Tanaya was one of the ones that did not return back to shore.
Tanaya was recently accepted to Kentucky's pre-med program there.
The owner and operators of a duck boat tour boat that sank near Branson, Missouri, are being sued for $100 million in damages. The lawsuit was filed on behalf of 2 members of an Indiana family who lost 9 relatives when the boat sank. The suit accuses the owners of ignoring bad weather warnings and knowing design flaws made it more susceptible to sinking. The legal team that filed the lawsuit has litigated previous wrongful death cases involving duck boats. It is the biggest mystery in aviation history. A report out today is offering new clues into what happened to Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. More than 4 years after it disappeared, investigators in Malaysia now say the plane's controls were likely manipulated to take it off course. Investigators say they don't believe it was the pilot or the first officer and are not ruling out the possibility of third-party interference. However, none of this can be confirmed unless the wreckage is actually found. Several searches in the Indian Ocean have already been called off, and it's not known if another agency will be assigned the task of finding the plane. MH370 vanished in March of 2014 with 239 people on board. The plane was heading to Beijing from Kuala Lumpur. Some debris from that plane washed ashore in Africa, but no bodies have ever been found.
Could USF football leave the friendly confines of the Ray J for a new home on campus? Well, the school is reviewing a new study that sheds some light on its football future. 10 Investigates' Noah Pransky broke this story on WTSP.com earlier today, and Noah, the consultant, suggested being bold.
The suggestion was basically go big or go home, USF. Right now, you know how it stands, Raymond James Stadium. It lacks a little bit of that traditional collegiate football feel. But until the school is ready to build a state-of-the-art stadium on campus, which could cost $240 million, the suggestion is the Bulls should stay right where they are. That's from a just-released study commissioned by USF aimed at building a better football experience for both students and alum. Now, the report said a new football stadium on campus is financially feasible right now, but with the school's limited booster donations, they couldn't really fund the kind of stadium USF would be proud of. So while Raymond James has its drawbacks, an NFL caliber experience is a pretty good fallback that the school will likely lean on well into the next decade. I spoke to USF's new athletic director, Michael Kelly, today, who told me he agreed with the research and input from students, alumni, and ticket holders.
The feedback also says if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right, and that's going to take more steps in the process. For me, we have to first better fund our athletic budgets as a whole, so we got to create revenue source for that. We have to build the U.S. Football Center, and then we can look at this as an aspirational goal.
So he mentioned the USF Football Center there. The school's trying to raise funds right now for a new $40 million facility to help recruit the best talent. Callie says that could make the team better, then get USF into a bigger conference, and ultimately create a lot more opportunity to raise revenues. But only then could they afford a brand new stadium, likely smaller than these renderings we'll show you right here. Only 35,000 seats we're looking at. And it looks something like Colorado State's new home, which cost $240 million. Now, a lot of you have been asking me online what this will cost taxpayers. Unlike the area's professional stadiums, USF says this would be donor-based. And for that reason, it won't be happening anytime soon. We've got a lot more about the stadium study on WTSP right now. You can also find it on my Facebook page. And of course, you can contact me directly. Noah Pransky, 10 Investigates.
The back-to-school list can really add up, but there are plenty of things you can buy tax-free this weekend. Well, the new school year just around the corner, and we want you and your kids to be ready. It's time to get the kids ready to go back to school. Doctors gave sports and school physicals today at Gibbs High School. Now, this is free for low-income families in Pinellas County. Now, the program offers dental services, vaccinations, and free vision screenings. It also is open to families who are not covered by insurance.
We like to be able to provide these services because with back to school needs, we do vaccinations, and those are requirements for students to get in. So we often service a lot of students from out of state and that may not have their insurance set up quite yet. Also low income families that need additional assistance.
Now, you do have to call for an appointment. Now, these clinics are available through next Wednesday, August 8th, at 4 Pinellas high schools. We have all of this information right there on our website at WTSP.com. Florida's annual back-to-school sales tax holiday starts this Friday and runs until Sunday, August 5th.
Parents, before you head to the store this weekend, we want to make sure you know which items are tax-free and which are not this year. Some of the items that are tax-exempt include most school supplies that are $15 or less, the common necessities like pens, paper, calculators, and notebooks. Staplers and whiteout did not make the cut this year. You can also get clothes, shoes, and accessories that are under the $60 mark, tax-free. Check out the entire list of items in our story at WTSP.com.
All right, guys, soggy day out there today, but it kept temperatures down. Most areas right now, at least, are in the mid-80s, but we warmed up initially this morning before the storm started up to about 89 degrees. Same deal tomorrow, 88, 89 degrees. Still kind of close to average for this time of year. You can see some showers and storms still left on there, although these storms down south are starting to weaken just a little bit. Reggie, not the best day to wash your car.
You got to wash it real hard.
I'm from that area originally, so I kind of say Washington. But there you go. The rain is going to be moving to the north. You can get the car cleaned, but we're going to be dealing with afternoon showers and thunderstorms just about every day this week. In fact, it's going to be more typical like you would expect this time of year, which has, again, not been so typical lately. But it's more of an east to southeast wind developing, and that means midday storms along the coast and then pushing inland and then back to the coast. This is all light rain, but it's kind of a nuisance more than anything else. So you're talking Bradenton, Anna Maria Island. That'll affect the Skyway right now. It's raining on the southern end, and that's going to try and push into southern Pinellas. This is where the heaviest shower and thunderstorm activity has been the last hour and a half. Some areas there north of Arcadia have seen almost 3 inches of rainfall, and south of Wauchula, but Wauchula, rain's moving through now. It'll be there for a good 30 minutes at least. Now, lighter rain for Pasco, Hernando, and Citrus counties. Some pretty good thunderstorms now just off of Crystal River. I think they're going to be very close to you, certainly up towards Inglis more than anything else, but that line extends offshore. So we're going to have to watch these because there's a decent chance that they move onshore. It's 6:16 now, up through about 7:15, 7:30 this evening. Inland locations, not as much rain for Polk County, just some light rain, and you can see those thunderstorms in Harding, DeSoto County starting to weaken. Thank goodness. Not everybody saw rain. You see this hole right in here? Very light rain there in southeastern Hillsborough, northern Polk County. But some of the spots that did see it, you can see almost over 3.5 inches of rain near Wauchula. So there's the showers and thunderstorms now. We lose the daytime heating. We will lose the storms, although we will keep some showers and thunderstorms just offshore because by that time the water is much warmer. I mean, we've got areas now in the 70s. The water's in the upper 80s. So it's actually warmer out there over the water. Wesley Chapel, Honda, Toyota, a little soggy there right now as well, too. 79 degrees, though. Man, it's nice at least to be cooler. You can see 73 in Wauchula, 81 in Wesley Chapel officially, and 79 in Tampa. Tonight we go down to the mid to upper 70s. Many areas are there right now, right? So if you're even cooler than that, we're going to warm back up just a little bit. And then here's what it looks like. The rain goes away after about 10:30, 11 o'clock tonight. We lose the heating. This is tomorrow morning. We start dry, and then here we go. Around lunchtime, they pop up along the coast. They'll start to develop more inland. And then with the overall wind, we're going to see if some of those want to come back towards the coast in the evening hours. Best timing for rain tomorrow, 11 a.m. through about 5 p.m. I know it's most of the day, but that's kind of on and off in many locations. We'll go 88 for a high tomorrow, 50% chance for showers and thunderstorms. South winds for our boaters about 10 knots, so 1 to 2 foot seas. And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all about a 50 to 60% chance for showers and storms. A little bit drier for Saturday and Sunday, but it's still the same warm, hot, muggy air mass with a few midday and afternoon showers and storms. All right, guys, don't forget you can catch our forecast on the radio. You can hear it on 105.5 The Dove, Hitland 106.9 FM, The Eagle 107.3, and Magic 94.9.
Yeah. It's a waiting game for Chris Archer with the clock ticking on the trade deadline.
Now, from your Suncoast Hyundai dealers, this is 10 Sports.
21 hours and change until the MLB trade deadline, with Chris Archer's name circling around the rumor mill. Bob Nightingale of USA Today tweeted this a few hours ago. One rival exec believes once the trade deadline is over, Archer will still be with the Rays. Quote, I won't believe it until I see it. Thing is, there's more chatter now than ever before on Archer leaving town. The Rays have gone down this road before, but never pulled the trigger on an Archer deal. Now tomorrow, guys, tomorrow could be very, very different than what we've seen in years past. The Rays are gauging interest from several teams on Chris Archer in regards to him and trading his services. He is under contract, by the way, until the 2021 season, so he's still under team control for quite some time. They've asked for final offers so that they can mull them over. The Padres, Pirates, Brewers, Yankees are teams that are most interested, but there are several others that are in on Arch as well. Now, Archer made his Rays debut in 2012. Since then, he's become one of the biggest stars in the Bay and one of the best arms in franchise history. Top 10 all-time for the Rays in wins, ERA, innings pitched, and strikeouts. So much like David Price, Matt Garza, and many others before him, Archer seems headed out the door. We will be at the Trop tomorrow. Justin Granite will have you covered from the clubhouse. What's up, Jay?
What's up, bro?
How you doing, bud? We saw the Bucs pull off a pretty big trade this offseason as well, getting star pass rusher Jason Pierre-Paul. You've been at camp for the first 4 days. He's impressed you,
He
hasn't
looks good, man. That's the guy who pops for me. Size, speed, pedigree, a champion. He's bringing all that to one buck. He is an absolute freak out on that field right now, Jason Pierre-Paul. Dirk Cutter, not only praising his physical abilities, but his mentorship off the field as well. Entering his 9th season, you could view JPP as, well, way past his prime. But the way the Bucs are going to rotate defensive linemen in, he's going to be fresh all the time. And Pierre-Paul has said himself, he's embracing that strategy. Not going to have double-digit sacks, but when he's on the field, that QB better have his head on a swivel.
I've had my eye on the offense, noticeably the vibe between Ryan Fitzpatrick and his receivers. Deshaun Jackson has stood out above the rest, especially with that right there, the deep ball. We didn't see enough of it last year. Already 2 bombs in practice, that one from Fitz, and then there was one yesterday from Jameis Winston. Djax had a down year last season. I think he's on a mission to prove he's better than his 600-yard show.
31 years old, Dirk Cutter calls him still the fastest player on the Bucs, age just a number. And speaking of 33 years old, LeBron James, still the greatest athlete in the world. Best advice for you, don't try this when you have children. This is LeBron this weekend at his kid Bronny's AAU game. LeBron just cocking it back and throwing it down.
By the way, this is what it looks like on any given night in the NBA, because LeBron always looks like a man among the boys, and he's just having a lot of fun out there on the court. You know, he's always about the kids, right? Especially in his hometown of Akron. I want to show you this because this is so cool. He opened up his own school today in the city of Akron for underprivileged children. He put $50 million of his own money into this school, $50 million. In its inaugural year, he spoke about it today, 240 kids will attend this school. So cool. And by the way, when these underprivileged kids do pass the program, LeBron gives them a full ride to the University of Akron.
There
How
are
cool is
so
that?
many LeBron haters out there, and they say he's such a me guy. No. You put your money where your mouth is. Kobe's never done this. Players in the MLB
Jordan's
have
never done this.
Jordan's never done this. They're all about themselves when it comes to advertising. LeBron, yes, he's going out to LA. He's going to be a movie star. He's eventually going to be a billionaire, but he never forgets about Akron. LBJ getting it done.
$50 million, all for the kids, ladies and gentlemen. That is how it's done.
When I lived in Cleveland, he was a class act. I can back that
Always
up.
is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know what? Let me tell you something. I wish I could learn how to dunk. I've never dunked in my life.
Reg, when your kid was playing ball back in the day, when he was 10 years old, you going out on that court?
What do you mean 10 years old?
Wait, you were on the layup line, not dunking though.
Have a good night, everyone. Here we go.
Have a good night, dude. Take care.
Oh my God.